So, to all our problems, add a potential flu pandemic. Our Crystal Bennett huddles with Lubbock Congressman Randy Nagelbauer on the Fed's response to the swine flu and some other divisive topics.
You know, Congressman, reporting the headlines, reading the headlines, it's a little tough. It's kind of scary right now with this swine flu outbreak. The president has promised to keep the public in the know on what action Washington is taking. But what can you tell us about the discussions and the plans right now?
Well, I think the administration probably took the right step in getting out in front of this issue. Right now, we have a small number of cases are actually reported in the United States. Now, obviously, to the south, in Mexico, our neighbors there, they have a much more higher rate of fines, particularly in this disease. And one of the things we need to make sure of is we monitor what's going on down there as well as monitor what's going on here.
You know, it seems the timing couldn't be worse. I mean, obviously, anything like this at any time is not good, but with a frail economy, the effects this threatens to have if it drags out.
Well, you know, these are difficult times. And, you know, in our economy, it took a long time for it to kind of get into the condition it's in right now. It's going to take a long time, I think, for it to recover. Certainly, things like this that come along that cause uncertainty in our country contribute to that. But I'm confident that we'll work through this flu epidemic as well as work through this economy, but it's going to take some time. And, you know, some people have different opinions on how the best way to address this economic situation. I happen to fall on the side that we need to, you know, reduce our spending, leave more money in the American taxpayers' hands, and not to continue down this road of exorbitant spending and high deficits.
We're talking about the president's bill that could put us in a $500 billion deficit roughly. Now, to sort of counter that, he's asked for ideas from federal employees on spending and ways to cut spending. What is your take on that strategy?
Well, you know, I think it's a little late in the game. I mean, the president brought over one of the largest budgets in the history of our country, and it's going to be nearly $1 trillion deficit this year. They're going to double the deficit in 5 years and triple it in 10 years. And certainly asking the employees to look for ways to cut is something we should do. But the bigger picture is the major entitlements and the major new policies that this administration is trying to bring into play, particularly when it comes to energy, where they're about to impose a huge tax on the American people through higher utility bills. And so I think that's not a good thing for the economy.
When it comes to that energy plan, do you think perhaps it's not a terrible idea, but perhaps the wrong time?
Well, I think the energy plan that I have always endorsed is all of the above. We need to continue to develop the existing energy resources that we have, and oil and gas and coal. We need to continue to develop our renewable sources, and West Texas has been on the forefront of that with wind energy and solar. But we do not have one source that can replace the hydrocarbons, and for us to believe that we can, we're fooling ourselves. What we have to do is be also looking at nuclear power plants and other ways to begin to wing ourselves from the hydrocarbons. But winging us from hydrocarbons is going to take a very long time. If you try to rush that where you do not have the alternatives in place, you're going to cause huge disruptions in our economy.
How important is the national psyche right now, keeping the faith that the economy will improve and sort of staying calm and not panicking in the face of what could become a pandemic?
Well, you know, I think the American people are very resilient. One of the things they're doing about the economy right now is it's very interesting, the savings rate's going up. What the American people realize is that they had been borrowing and spending too much. Companies been borrowing and spending too much. The government's been borrowing and spending too much. And now we see the American people beginning to increase their savings rate, first time in a number of years. And I think what they're doing, the American people are beginning to cut back on their spending. I think they're a little surprised that the government's not following that same example. You know, the flu, we have a huge number of flu cases every year in this country. We take precautions to prevent that. Certainly getting flu shots, using good hygiene, all of those things are ways that we will be able to deal with the flu issue, in addition to making sure that the countries that have seen a high number of cases, that they're doing the things that they can do to prevent the spread of that. And certainly travel back and forth from these countries at some point in time, if this gets to be a real problem, we may need to restrict some of that travel.
Well, Congressman Nagelbauer, we very much appreciate your time. We know you're very busy, so we appreciate you being with us.
Well, thank you for having me on the program.